Welcome to the PJ Hoop Podcast. I'm your host, PJ. And if this is your very first time checking out my podcast, thank you for joining me and thank you for checking out my content. I promise you won't be disappointed. I'm not just saying that because it's mine. I just think I put out really good information. But also I want to thank my subs and my constant viewers that I've had week in to week out. I noticed you guys and I really appreciate what you guys are doing and believing in what I'm doing. So thank you to all my fans out there and thank you to everybody that's supporting me. With that being said, if this is your first time checking out my pod, I want to give you guys the 4 parameters that I like to go over week in and week out. First segment being is a segment I like to call PJ's Echelon. This essentially is my power rankings. I'm not a perfect man. I'm a progressive man. And with that being said, that's the same with my list. My power rankings is a progressive list. I like to use strength of schedule, eye test, statistically where you sit, but then also the team's record. That's coming up shortly. Another segment is what's new. Now, what's new, it's essentially me ranting, me giving you some type of basketball news, or essentially those are the 2 things, or some type of significance, like historically, maybe some stat, maybe some history was made over the week. So that's coming up. That's what's new as well. Another segment is games of the week. Now, in games of the week, right now, there's not really too many games of significance going on. So right now, for the most part, I'm just doing games that I really like. But also in games of the week, it'll also be games that carry some type of significance throughout, standings or home court advantage or the play-in. So as the season goes on, there'll be games with more significance. So that's games of the week. Lastly, I did have a segment called Rookie Talk, but I've decided to ingratiate Rookie Talk within the lab. Now with that, if you've been following me, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, in the lab essentially is going to entail me talking about the NBA rookie and talking about college, high school, and a little bit of international. I've been doing in the lab now for about 2.5, 3 weeks. But if you're looking for just isolated content, like trying to understand what I cover, check out episode 5. Episode 5 is my FIBA episode. And I think I talked about some high school players in that episode. That's a really good episode. But then also episode 16 is about college and some of my top 30 prospects that I'll be keeping my eyes out on. And also my top 10 international prospects that I'll be keeping my eyes out on during this college basketball season. Now, with that being said, let's just dive straight into it. The very first segment on the slate today is PJ's Echelon. Now, in PJ's Echelon, like I just told you guys, I'm a progressive man. I'm not a perfect man. So this is a progressive list. This is being recorded Tuesday, January 7th at about 12 p.m. So whatever games happen later today will not be counted in these power rankings. I use 4 different criteria: strength of schedule, eye test, statistically where you sit, and then the team's record. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to dive straight into it because I have some really good stuff I'm going to talk about later on in the lab that I want to give time for. So I'm going to go through these power rankings. Keep in mind, some of the stuff that I'm going to say, usually I give you guys a bunch of statistical stuff about each team. Today, I'm going to try and limit that because I don't want to make this part of my episode too long. I want to save time for later on in the episode. Anyways, my number 1 rated team this week, I'm pretty sure it's no surprise by anybody. This team is 30-5, and that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma right now, they're 8th in offensive efficiency. They're 1st in defensive efficiency, and they're 1st in net rating. Right now, they're sporting the longest winning streak in basketball at 15 games. It's going to be... So they had a really great game against Boston. I didn't get to watch the whole game, unfortunately, because I was at work. I got to watch glimpses of it. But they took care of Boston. They shut them out in the second half. That's actually one of my games of the week. I'll talk about that more later, so I'm not going to say too much about that. They play Cleveland tomorrow, which I don't work, so I'll be able to watch a good chunk of that game, hopefully. Anyways, they forced the most turnovers per game at 19 a game. They also averaged the most steals per game at 12, and they're tied for the fewest turnovers per game, also at 12. So for a long time, this Oklahoma City team, they had more total steals than they had turnovers. Oklahoma's a really great defensive team, and hopefully we'll see Chet back. I think he'll probably be back probably after the All-Star break is what I'm assuming. Anyways, they give up the second fewest fast break points per game at 12. They do give up the second most second chance points at 16 currently right now, but they're at number 1 for me this week. Number 2 on my list, this team is 31-4, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland right now, they're 1st in offensive efficiency, and they're 7th in defensive efficiency, and they're 2nd in net rating. So Cleveland, they've had such a light schedule, in my opinion, over the last about 2 weeks. They've had a lot of days off. They've also caught a break playing some teams that were down and injured. But this team is still going crazy right now. I think right now they're on a 10-game winning streak. Don't quote me on that, but I think a 10-game winning streak. I'm really excited to watch them play Oklahoma City. So we'll see what happens there. This will be, so Oklahoma versus Cleveland will be the first time in NBA history where both teams has a winning percentage of 85%, and both teams are on a 10-plus game winning streak, so it should not disappoint. They have they're 18-1 at home currently, and they're still first in field goal percentage at 50%. They're still first in three-point percentage at 40%. The Cavs are rolling. They're number 2 on my list this week. They moved up slightly. Number 3 on my list, this team is 26-10, and that is the Boston Celtics. Boston right now, they're second in offensive efficiency, they're 6th in defensive efficiency, and they're 3rd in net rating. They did have a rough second half against Oklahoma City, but this is still a top 3 team in my eyes. Porzingis, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Jaylen Brown, they all shot horrible in the second half. I don't expect that to be something that's, more likely than not, that's not going to happen. So I didn't want to kill them for that at all. They are allowing teams to shoot the 5th lowest field goal percentage at 45%. They're giving up the 4th fewest assists also at 24. They average the 2nd fewest turnovers at 12 and the fewest personal fouls per game at 16. Boston is firmly at number 3 for me. Number 4 on my list, this team is 24-13, and that is the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis right now, they're 5th in offensive efficiency, they're 5th in defensive efficiency, and they're 4th in net rating. The injury bug has killed this team. It's killed this team. But shout out to Taylor Jenkins, shout out to Noah LaRoche. If you don't know who Noah LaRoche is, I talked about him a couple weeks back. This Memphis offense is a special type of offense. They actually run the fewest pick and rolls per game at about 7%. It's because of the offense he's implemented that he learned down in D3. He's a first-year assistant for Memphis. But anyways, you guys should watch Memphis offense if you haven't gotten a chance. I don't want to sit up here and rant about their offense. But Gigi Jackson actually today just got called down to the G League to practice with them. And I've been saying for a few weeks now that I believe he'll be back really soon. He's on his way back. He'll probably play for the Memphis Grizzlies. Probably, if not the end of this week, probably early next week. Probably by the end of this week, though. But Gigi's on the way to help this injured bug team. Memphis, for me, they're still they're number 4 for me this week on my list. They average the 3rd most blocks per game at 6. They're 5th in field goal percentage at 48%. Memphis is at 4 this week for me. Number 5 on my list. This team is 23-12, and that is the Houston Rockets. Houston right now, they're 12th in offensive efficiency. They're 3rd in defensive efficiency, and they're 6th in net rating. They went 3-1 over the last week. They got killed by Boston, but took care of the others. And they took care of a hot Lakers team, even though the Lakers' schedule also wasn't that good. Yes, I understand. Down the stretch, LeBron did call a timeout before the ball got inbounded, but that's besides the point. Houston got the win, so I got to give them their flowers. I have been hard on Jalen Green up to this point in the season, but this month he has kind of warmed up a little bit. I think he's up to about 45-46% from the field, and I think his threes came up too slightly. I think his threes are like 35-36%. But he's playing a lot better. It's a very small sample size. It's only been about 3-4 games so far this month. But that's something I want to throw out to you guys, that he is looking like he's starting to kind of get into a little midseason form, which is really nice to see. The Rockets did send Reed Shepherd down to the G League team just to get him some run, which I thought was a really good thing. Anyways, they're firmly at number 5 for me this week. Number 6 on my list, this team is 24-13, and that is the New York Knicks. New York right now, they're 3rd in offensive efficiency, 14th in defensive efficiency, and they're 5th in net rating. So New York, they've had kind of a weird week this week. I think that Thunder game really took a lot out of them. I really think that took a lot out of them. They did lose to the Bulls on the second night of a back-to-back, but they played that Thunder game so hard, so I didn't want to kill them for that. They did just lose to the Magic last night, but I just still think they were just super gassed from the Thunder game, so I didn't want to kill them for that. I also like to give teams, benefit of the doubt. If you have a week or two where you're kind of down, I'm not going to kill you on my power rankings for it. I'm just going to take note of it and then point out to you guys what I'm noticing, and that's what I noticed about the Knicks. They're tied for 3rd right now in three-point percentage at 38%. They're 3rd in field goal percentage at 50%. And Friday they play the Thunder, and so I expect them to try to get back from losing to the Thunder last week. Anyways, New York is number 6 for me this week. Number 7, this team is 22-16, and that is the Orlando Magic. Orlando right now, they're 26th in offensive efficiency, they're 2nd in defensive efficiency, and they're 10th in net rating. Truly, this is a resilient team. I'll say it again. I'm gonna give a shout out to Jamal Mosley and that whole coaching staff. They've been through the fire, but this is truly a pack of wolves. It's next man up mentality. They went 2-2 over this last week. Even though the Knicks were tired, they went into New York. They beat the Knicks. So I wanted to. Let me correct myself. Was it in New York? No, it was in New York. It was in New York. I had to kind of catch myself. But yeah, it's next man up. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully Paolo should be back really soon here. I mean, he should be coming back soon. Within the next, I think, probably 2 weeks, he should be back to help pick up this team. But also, I still think, even healthy, I still think this team is still one star/all-star offensive player away from really being a championship contending team. But they're sixth in steals at 9 a game. They're second in blocks at 7 a game. They forced the third most turnovers at 17 a game. That is Orlando Magic. Number 8 on my list. This team is 20-16, and that is the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas right now, they're 6th in offensive efficiency. They're 11th in defensive efficiency, and they're 7th in net rating. Kyrie, they just said Kyrie's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. I told you guys during my preseason that I didn't trust the health of Kyrie, Luka, and Klay Thompson. Unfortunately, that's come to fruition. I don't wish that upon nobody, but I got to call a spade for a spade. That's what has happened. But still, this is going to also give a chance, in my opinion, to see what Jason Kidd can do with the players that are available. You know, to me, that's what really shows a coach. When they're down and out, what can you do with the players you have? And so I'm going to be paying attention to see what they can do there. Also, I'm really going to be paying attention to a couple players for Dallas over this stretch. Number 1 being Jaden Hardy, because Jaden Hardy is still very, very young, and he was the number 1 rated shooting guard in his class. But obviously during the G League, you know, I think he's just still finding his way, obviously, in the NBA. But what really was promising for me with him was during the playoff run, he came in and gave him really good minutes. But also, that's somebody I'll be keeping my eyes out on. I think he could be somebody that could really see extended minutes and also see, you know, another piece of growth for him, because I think he's only 22. But that's somebody. Then also, I want to see also what Derek Lively does during this timeout. Does he show a little bit more offensive ability, given that he doesn't have Luka and Kyrie in the pick and roll? Things I'll be paying attention to in Dallas. So right now, and also, I also didn't want to kill them. I think they're on like a 5-6 game losing streak. I didn't want to kill them for that. They did drop in my rankings, but I'm not going to completely take them off yet. This next week will also give me a kind of idea what I should do, because I'm going to be paying heavy attention to them moving for this next week at least, to determine if I want to keep them in my power rankings or not. But Dallas right now, they're number 8 for me, and I'll be keeping my eyes out on the Mavericks moving forward. Number 9 on my list. This team is 20-14, and that is the Denver Nuggets. Denver right now, they're 4th in offensive efficiency. They're 19th in defensive efficiency, and they're 8th in net rating. So they had 2 really fun matchups against the Spurs in back-to-back nights. They split those games. I still do wonder if this team is going to make any type of trades before the trade deadline. Just subtle trades, not big ones. As you guys notice on my podcast, I don't really be talking about the trades and stuff, because to me, that's not that important. I mean, it's important, but it's not important enough to where I'm like, oh, let me tell you this. No, I'll tell you if the trade happens. I'm not going to sit up here and try to be, you know, I'm not going to try to be Haynes or Wendy. I'm not here to be, or Shams. I'm not here to be that, okay? I'm not here to break news to you guys. I'm just here to give you guys my opinion and things that I noticed. But yeah, I'm just interested to see what Denver does at the trade deadline, because I think they should try to make at least a subtle move. Anyways, I want to give a little love to Westbrook, because people be so hard on Westbrook when he gets to new teams. Everybody knows, and if you pay attention, well, I ain't going to say everybody, but people know, at least I know, that when Westbrook gets to a new team, it takes about 25-30 games for him to get into a rhythm, and I think he's hitting that stride right now with Denver. So since December 1st, Westbrook is averaging 12.7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2.5 turnovers. He's shooting 53% from the field and 30% from 3. We know what his 3-point percentage is, but my things that I'm really enjoying is the assist from Westbrook, the tenacity, keeping that energy defensively up, even though he's had, his slips, but he's still bringing that energy to the team. And then his 53% shooting from the field, to me, is what I really, really like. So I just wanted to give him a little love, because he is playing a lot better. I still don't want to see him in the game at the end of the game for this team, but it's a double sword, because there's been games where he's won them games and there's been games where he loses them games. That's just what comes with the territory with Westbrook at this point in his career. They're second in field goal percentage at 50%. They're fourth in three-point percentage at 38%. They're first in assists at 32%. And if you guys have noticed, like when I give you guys field goal and three-point percentages or percentages of anything, I round it up. I don't like saying the 0.7, 0.8. I don't like doing that. I just round up. Unless it's 0.5, then I give you guys I'll say 0.5. Anyways, that's Denver at number 9. Number 10 on my list, this team is the Los Angeles Clippers. They're 20-16. They're 23rd in offense, 4th in defensive rating. 11th in net rating. They went 1-3 over the last week. They got pretty beaten down by the Spurs and Thunder. They had a tough loss to Minnesota. I watched most of that game. Ant Edwards was he was cooking. Kawhi just came back. I've been telling you guys he was coming back really soon. He came back. So I want to give them some grace and allow them to, ingratiate him. This has been an up and down team all season long, but I kept them firmly at 10 because I do believe, one, they're top 5 defense when I watched them, and I think Kawhi's going to substantially help this offense once he gets going. They allow the 4th lowest three-point percentage at 34%. They allow the 3rd worst free throw percentage at 76%. The wall is working. Shout out to Steve Ballmer. My teams that are on the bubble this week for me are the Pacers. The Pacers have been 7-3 in their last 10. They won 3 straight. They look a lot better offensively. The Lakers are also a team on the bubble for me. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They have 2 very interesting games coming up against the Spurs and back-to-backs. I want to give a shout-out to the Kings. Kings are on a 5-game win streak. And shout-out to the Pistons because they're on a 4-game win streak. You guys let me know down in the comment section below, who do you guys have in your top 10 and who do you have on your bubble? Now, my next segment is What's New. And What's New, I'm giving you some type of history that may have been made over the last week, me ranting, or just some NBA news. Let's dive straight into it. So, first and foremost, Nikola Jokic became the first player in NBA history to score 20-plus points, have 15-plus rebounds, and 15-plus assists while playing under 30 minutes. He only played 20 minutes and 31 seconds. Wemby, through his first 100 games, becomes the first player to score over 2,000 points, have over 1,000 rebounds, over 300 assists, over 300 blocks, and over 200 three-pointers. No player in NBA history has ever reached those numbers in their first 100 games. So I just got to say it. I told you guys over the summer, during my Southwest Division preview, when I talked about the Phoenix Suns, I believe that Ryan Dunn should start over Bradley Beal. Come to find out, that just happened last night. And we'll see how it materializes in Phoenix with that. I just wanted to point that out to you guys because I did tell you guys that. The Orlando Magic Sunday did not attempt a free throw in the first half versus the Jazz. The last time the Magic didn't attempt a free throw in the first half was November 10th of 2019 against the Pacers. So I thought that was very interesting. Blake Griffin and Dirk Nowitzki will join Taylor Rooks, whatever her name is. I don't even know who that is. On Amazon, on Amazon NBA Studio show starting next year. So I thought I wanted to shout that out. Jabari Smith has a fractured left hand and is shooting. He fractured his left hand during shoot around. He's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. The most games with 15 assists and 0 turnovers since turnovers were tracked in 1977. John Stockton had 14. Chris Paul had 10. Tyrese Halliburton has 9. So I just wanted to point that out. Shout out to Tyrese Halliburton. He's been playing a lot better as of late. Something else I wanted to kind of put on you guys' radar is that obviously we know Cam Johnson is somebody that's on the trade block essentially, and we'll see what the Nets do with him. But I believe the Thunder should try and get him. I kind of ran my own little mock trade, and if they package like an Aaron Wiggins and like a Ousmane Dieng, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, and like let's say like 2 first-round picks in this upcoming draft because the Thunder have 3, I believe, if I remember correctly, they can get Cam Johnson. So that's something I wanted to throw at you guys. He has a very nice friendly contract. I think Cam Johnson only make like $20 million. So that's something I wanted to throw at you guys. I can see the Thunder maybe. Yes, I get it. Oh, the Thunder on a 50-game win streak. They don't need to do anything else. There's always room to improve, okay? And I think they could use a 3-and-D big wing like that, like Cam Johnson, because they're going to need an extra body to throw at Jason Tatum, in my opinion, if they play each other in the finals. Because right now, in my opinion, I don't think they have an answer for Tatum. But anyways, just want to throw that at you guys. Also, something very interesting with the whole Heat thing. I'm not going to go too crazy into it. I just want to talk about the draft implications. So, the first from Miami, if they miss the playoffs, could become unprotected in 2026. And that would go... so if Miami missed the playoffs this year, in 2028, their first becomes unprotected, and that goes to the Charlotte Hornets. So that's something I'm monitoring. But also, I believe their pick in this year's draft is top 14 protected. Otherwise, it goes to the Thunder. If it doesn't convey this season to the Thunder, then in 2026, Miami owes the Thunder their 2026 unprotected first. Now, I'm sorry I went through that so fast, but also I want to give time for the end of the episode. But you let me know down in the comment section below what's new this week in your opinion. Was there things that you wish I would have covered? Things that you wanted to add? Again, I'm trying to make sure my episodes are not any longer than 25 to 35 minutes. So that's why I'm not bombarding you guys with a bunch of information. All right? So my next segment is Games of the Week. Now in Games of the Week, I'll be giving you guys games of some type of significance or games that I just really enjoyed watching. This week, we're going to do games that I really enjoyed watching. Well, one that I really enjoyed watching, and then one that I think had some type of significance to it, actually. So, first game I want to talk about is the Spurs versus the Nuggets. This took place January 3rd. Spurs won the game 113 to 110, and I decided to choose this game because this game I just really enjoyed watching. Both matchups, when they played back-to-back, did not disappoint. I think it's funny that every time Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic have played Wemby, the first time he played Joel didn't go that well. But these last two times when he played Nikola Jokic, he held his own okay. But, man, those dudes be serving him, man. Joel gave him a 70-piece, and then Nikola Jokic just gave him darn near back-to-back 40-point triple-doubles. But I enjoy those matchups. I think, honestly, my favorite matchup to watch with Wemby, for me at least, is Wemby versus Giannis. Last year, to me, that was just two, silverback gorillas going at it. I loved it. I loved it, and I hope, and I believe it's going to happen, that in the All-Star game, I hope we get that moment where it's Wemby and Giannis going back and forth for a minute or two. I'm praying for that. Anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about this game. Denver started the fourth quarter 0 for 8, but then they eventually got it going. About with a minute 30 left, Wemby was rising up for a three, and then he kicked it down to Keldon Johnson. This dude was getting triple teamed when he rose up for that three. And the reason why I wanted to point out that play is because I'm pretty sure we all can agree, once Wemby can be a consistent about a 40% three-point shooter, he's gonna be a true alien. Okay, and everybody want to call him an alien, so I'll just say it too. He's going to be truly a nightmare for teams, and that just shows you what gravity he's going to hold. If he was able to draw three defenders in that moment, imagine once he becomes consistent with his three ball, which his free throw percentage and even his form and everything lets us know he's going to become a consistent three-point shooter. So I just wanted to point that play out to you guys. Denver truly needs to stop playing Westbrook down the stretch, in my opinion. Yes, I know he has his moments where he's saved them wins and have helped them wins, but he's had also a lot of games where it's like the spacing, his decision-making, it's very mucky in my opinion. I don't think he should be playing down the stretch. So that's one of the games I want to tell you guys about games of the week. My next one took place on January 5th, and this was the Thunder versus the Celtics. Oklahoma won this game 105 to 92. First half did not disappoint. Jaylen Brown had about 21 points in the first half. Unfortunately, he finished the game with 21 points and got completely shut out in the second half. Shout out to the adjustments that Mark D made. I think he ended up putting Lou Dort on him more in the second half. But man, he got shut out in the second half. It wasn't, but it's unfortunate too because Jaylen Brown played the most minutes in the game. He played 40 minutes. The game did not disappoint at all. It for sure had a playoff feel to it. You could tell both teams really wanted this game. Really, what I really took from this game was that the Thunder had no answer for Jason Tatum. At least in my opinion, they had no answer for Tatum. And yes, I understand there was no Alex Caruso, there was no Chet Holmgren, but even with those players, Alex Caruso's too small to guard Tatum, in my opinion. And then also, I believe Chet Holmgren is just too slow. And Chet's not that big, but he holds himself pretty well on the block. He don't get pushed around too bad anymore. But I don't think he's fast enough either or twitchy enough to keep up with Tatum either. I think they do need to go get like a Cam Johnson, just another body to throw at Tatum. I do think they have enough defenders though to throw at a Jaylen Brown, in my opinion. That's why I believe if these two teams played in the finals, I believe it would be a Jason Tatum series, and obviously Tatum would win Finals MVP. But I think that's what it would take for them to beat this Thunder team, is for Tatum to be like, yeah, you guys can't mess with me. There's no answer for me. And that's what I took from this game. Anyways, the second half, again, shout out to Mark D because they made really, really great adjustments. They held the Boston Celtics to 27 points in the second half, and they held them to about 20 to 25% shooting the whole second half. So shout out to the Thunder. Those were the two games I wanted to talk about this week with you guys. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what games did you guys really enjoy over the week. Again, obviously I watch way more than 2 games out of the week. But again, I don't want to make these episodes too long for you guys. My next segment is In the Lab. Now, In the Lab and Rookie Talk were separate, but now they're going to be together. It's just going to be In the Lab. This week for In the Lab, I want to give a little bit of love to an NBA rookie, and then I'm going to talk about some high school stuff with you guys and some other things. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to give some love to Tristan Da Silva of the Orlando Magic. I actually talked about him a good chunk during my Orlando Magic season preview, which is in the Southeast Division. If you're interested in checking that out, you can fast forward to Orlando and hear what I have to say about that. But I was letting you guys know that, in my opinion, I believe he was going to find his way in the rotation because I felt like he was a very quality rotational piece, and he's a little bit older. And I felt like he just could do things that the Magic needed, really like shoot and just be a veteran player. Not a veteran. He's a veteran college player, but he had a really high basketball IQ, and I really liked him for this Magic team. Anyways, unfortunately, he started really getting heavy minutes when players started getting hurt. But even when they were there, he was starting to get like spotting minutes. But anyways, I just want to give him some love because he joins Franz and Paolo as the only Magic rookies to score 25 plus points and have 5+ 3-pointers in a game over the last 15 years. He did that Friday against the Raptors. He had 25 points, 2 steals, and was 5 for 7 from the 3-point line. So I just wanted to give him a little love. But also, I'm ready just to go. Let's just dive straight into the other part of In the Lab. So, recruiting news that took place. 2025 5-star point guard Mikal Brown Jr., 6'3", committed to Louisville. He's ranked as the number 2 point guard in the class and 7th overall player. The son of LeBron James, Bryce James, committed to Arizona. I'm only bringing him up. Yes, he's only like a 3-star, but I'm bringing him up because he's close friends with another kid that's still another kid that hasn't committed in Braden Burries. He's the number 2 rated shooting guard in class of 25, and he's number 9th overall player. So that's why I brought up the whole Bryce thing, because he is close to Braden, and Braden also is considered in Arizona. So I thought that, something to monitor to see if Bryce can, hey, come and hoop with me here, So that's something I just wanted to point out to you guys. Something that took place over the weekend was the 2025 Hoop Hall West Classic. It was a tournament for a bunch of high school players. A lot of great high school players was in this tournament. It took place in Gilbert, Arizona. I'm mad. I didn't know it was going to be in Gilbert, or I would have went. Oh, excuse me. I would have went to the tournament if I knew that. Next year, I'm going to try and go. Now I know that's there. Some of the players that were at this tournament was the number 1 rated player, and was AJ DeBonces. Another player that was there he's number 6 rated player. He has not committed anywhere yet. It's Koa Pete. Chris Senick Jr., number 7th player, he was there. And then also Braden Burries was there as well. Isaiah Harwell, he was there. He's the number 14th rated player in class of 25. And then in class of 2026, number 1 rated player Tyron Stokes was there. Brandon McCoy's the number 2 rated player. He was there. Mika Morin. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name is Mika. He's the 5th rated player. Christian Collins, he's the 9th rated player. Akena Olozi, he was there. He's the 11th rated player. And Caden House, 14th rated player in class of 2026 was there. So, and then also the number 5 rated player in class of 27, he was also at the tournament. His name is Paul Ossery. I'm sorry if I botched his name. But then also another kid named Darius Webbington, number 9th rated player. And then Malachi Jordan, he's the number 18th player in class of 27. So those are all the players that were involved in this tournament. And sorry if I botched anybody's names. So the team that won the tournament was Harvard Westlake of California. They beat De La Salle in the championship game. They ended up winning the game 58-44. The MVP was Nicholas Nicholas Kamania. I'm sorry if I botched his name. He's the number 19th rated player in class of 25. He's actually going to Duke. I'm a Duke fan, so that's why I said that. Harvard Lake, actually, on the season, they're 17-1, so shout out to them. Also, AJ DeBonces and Tyron Stokes, and a lot of these players had really good tournaments, had a really good performance at the tournament. They both respectively won MVP honors in their respective games, and they ended up getting like the signed ball or whatever ball with the MVP stuff on it. So, and these are players that a lot of these kids I've talked about actually over the summer quite a bit. Again, you can go ahead and check out some of my summer episodes. I actually have it in a playlist with all my summer episodes, like the ones that are like high school and like about the camps that a lot of these kids have been going to. I talk slightly about them over the summer. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out down below. Also, I want to let you guys know that next week, also I want to show some love. I want to show some love to a player who I've been tracking him, but I just haven't talked to you guys about him. His name is Thomas Sober. He's about a 6'10", 6'11" big man out of Georgetown. He's been playing very, very well. That's somebody I want to throw on you guys' radar. Also, I talked about Andrei Stojakovic, which is Peja Stojakovic's son. He just had a really good game. He had 30 points against Clemson. Clemson, if you don't know anything, Clemson's actually a really good ACC team. I think they're going to surprise some people this season. I think they might even upset my Duke team in one of the 2 games that they play, to be honest with you. But they're an upperclassman team, and Andrea had 30 points against them, and he's somebody to keep on you guys' radar. I talked about him. I've been talking about him quite a bit to you guys. But also, I really want to give you guys, I want to take this time a little bit and kind of just talk a little bit more about some of these other prospects, like Kasparas Yakachonis. He's been hooping to me. I talked about him a lot in episode 5 because for me over the summer he performed very well in the FIBA tournament. In my opinion, I felt that he was one of the more complete players that I was covering over the summer. Mario Saint-Supri during that tournament, I like things that he did, but I wasn't like super sold on him. Nolan Troyari, same thing. Like he's somebody, in my opinion, during that tournament performed very, very well. I just don't like his shooting form personally. I just don't like the way he shoots the ball, in my opinion. But yeah, I really was going to take the time today and give you guys kind of just my updated so during episode 16, I talked about my top 30 prospects. And these are not 30 of the best prospects. These are just 30 people I was keeping my eyes on. And so I wanted to kind of use this time, which I probably don't really have time to do it now. But next episode, I promise you that I will find the time and give myself enough time to really go over this, because I really do want to check in on those top 30 prospects and just give you guys just a very extremely, extremely brief update on how they're doing and what my opinion is on these players up to this point in the season. I want to give you also statistically where they're at. So next week, we're going to go over 10 prospects. The 10 prospects I'm going to talk about is Igor Dimin. I'm going to talk about Kasparas Yakachonis. I'm going to talk about Derek Queen. I'm going to talk about Trey Johnson. I'm going to talk about Con Knipple. I'm going to talk about Kamen Malawach. I'm going to talk about Will Riley. I'm going to talk about Asai Noel. I'm going to talk about Noah Essenjun, and I'm going to also talk about Ben Sarv, okay? So those are the 10 prospects. Next week, I promise you guys, I told you guys last week we were going to do it this week, but I'm realizing I don't have enough time. So stay tuned next week. I promise you guys, we are going to talk about all 10 of these prospects, and I'm going to give you guys an update and my opinions on them, okay? Otherwise, thank you for taking the time to check out my podcast today. I hope you guys had a good holiday season, and PJ's out.